let's talk about Sakura Genesis 2025, the big New Japan show of the spring, happening on April 5th, 2025 at the Ryugoku Kokugan, happening this Saturday, April the 5th, main evented by Hirooki Goto versus David Finlay for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. Listen, this is another situation where New Japan is in a spot where they have to be wondering what is the right response here. What is the good thing that we're doing? What is the good thing we should do here? Do we put the title on Dave Finlay, who just won the New Japan Cup to get this spot, a guy who was taken out of the New Japan Cup last year, who worked his way back, and not only worked his way back, but really ended up defining, finally, who Dave Finlay is. His work in the past year has been tremendous. His transformation into a guy that you're not quite sure what he's up to, into a very clear persona, confident, who knows who he is, a guy who just wants to bully the piss out of people in the ring, who doesn't give a shit, who's not Bullet Club, he's a war dog. He's the leader and he's not taking any shit. It's a transformation that took a while. It took a long while with a lot of incertitude and people wondering what the hell is this guy up to? What does Geto see in this guy? And now, finally, the vision has come full circle. I think now we're on to something. Dave Finlay has never been this good or interesting since ever, really. Maybe when he did the initial turn, and then we were like, okay, we're excited to see how this is going to go. And it was kind of flat. It ain't flat no more. If people are still pissing on David Finlay in your environment, that's because they haven't been watching New Japan recently. It's just as simple as that. I am excited at the idea of David Finlay winning the championship and taking the title off of Hirooki Goto, who has been on literally a Cinderella run, something that no one saw coming. Talking about the connection with the New Japan Cup from last year, there was a lot of speculation that Dave Finlay was supposed to win the New Japan Cup last year, but since he was injured out, it ended up being Hirooki Goto, who took essentially his spot, but did not end up winning the tournament. Despite that, he set up a story where he was going to do this for his recently deceased father, and it tugged at the heartstrings, and it became a really good, heartfelt, organic story that New Japan audiences, both in North America and in Japan, really, really got behind and created this renaissance for perennial mid-carder Hirooki Goto's career, to the point where people were like, okay, we want this guy to be world champion. And this sentiment persisted right into the G1, where he had a terrific G1, not necessarily as far as the score goes, but performance-wise, he was terrific and was accruing these incredible crowd responses where, on every night he was wrestling. And this followed, it just would not die down. It followed him everywhere, right into winning the New Japan Ranbo at Wrestle Kingdom, which secured a shot for him at the world title it wasn't at New Beginning, it was at the other show, I don't remember, New Year's, no, it was at New Beginning, not New Year's Dash, but at New Beginning. And and that momentum carried him right into New Beginning, where he faced Zack Sabre Jr. and won. And that show was a top drawing show for one of New Japan's best gates. And he's been drawing. People are into it. Like, there is a legitimate point to be made that right now Hirooki Goto is putting butts in seats. So when you come down to this story here, to this match here, and you're booking stuff and you say, well, the real great story here is to have Dave Finlay, the worst of the worst heels in New Japan right now, a bully, a callous, narcissistic son of a bitch who only cares about himself. You have him defeat the people's champion, the guy that everyone loves, who rallied behind because reasons, right? We even had his kids come out to celebrate with him, and you have him lose to Dave Finlay. And that would be heart-wrenching. It would be tremendous heat. But do you pull the trigger on that? Like, it creates great possibilities. And Dave Finlay is destined to be an IWGP World Champion. But do you do it now? Because clearly, with Goto in this spot right now, business is really good. But then in the meantime, well, New Japan also said that we want to be in a position where we push our younger guys, the new generation and so on and so forth. And other promotions in Japan right now, like Pro Wrestling Noah, like Stardom, are pushing new faces, and they are doing record gates. They're doing great business. I'm sure New Japan is looking at what's going on elsewhere, and they're like, this is something we should be doing too. Do we do that? Do we go down that route? And Gabe Kidd is still there too, and and all the rest. Yota Tsuji and Yumera. So, what is the next step here? It's really, really, really hard to lay down. I don't have a good answer for you. I don't have a solid prediction on this one, because you could go either way and they would both make sense. Goto leaves, crowd goes home happy. He continues his reign. You can continue to have interesting matches. You're not done with that. And then you have, and then you hopefully continue to draw houses with him. That's the idea. Finlay, it's a great story that you tell. He goes right in with some terrific heat coming straight out the gate, but you go into a complete unknown. How will that be received by the crowd? The Japanese crowds, they like Japanese guys in the big spots. The gaijin are fine and everything, but most of the time the local audience, they prefer to have their own people in those spots, which is understandable, which I get. Honestly, I'm an agent of chaos. So I'd go with Dave Finlay. We'll see after this weekend, but that's where I'm putting my stamp down. Although I completely understand if they want to stick with Goto. And I'm sure there's a whole lot of politicking going on right now. Trust me. Yota Tsuji is going to be defending the IWGP Global Heavyweight Championship against Evil. Is his no cheating run going to be done? I mean, Evil? Or is he still going to be doing that gimmick? I don't quite know. Look, it's Evil. They can do. Let me put it to you this way. I would say if Evil wins the global title at Sakura Genesis, then Hirooki Goto's retaining the title. There's no way, no shot they're doing a double heel title change, right? They couldn't do that. They wouldn't do that, would they? Could they? Geto? Dick Togo? You wouldn't do that, right? Would you? Yeah, I mean, I don't have many thoughts here. It's a House of Torture match, so there's going to be, too much shit for me to really enjoy the match. So, the LIJ duo of Tetsuya Naito and Hiromu Takahashi will be defending the IWGP Tag Team Championship against Jeff Cobb and Callum Newman. An odd duo. Have I told you? I don't remember. Have I told you that I'm out on Callum Newman? I feel like, was it at when we talked at some point about the New Japan Cup? I think I flat out said, yeah, I'm done with Callum Newman. I don't see it. I don't get it. I really don't, and you can talk about all the Ospreay comparisons you want. Say, well, Ospreay took some time to develop either. So Ospreay had qualities, little intangibles that you're like, he could be a star. I think he's got something. He had the charisma. This guy has nothing. This guy has nothing, and he runs the ropes really fast, one time per match, and that's supposed to, I don't get it. I don't understand. Yeah, I mean, look, it's an IWGP Tag Championship match with, you know, Tetsuya Naito, who is completely washed, Hiromu Takahashi, who is on cruise control, Jeff Cobb, who may or may not be on his way out, and Callum Newman. What do you want from me? I ain't got nothing. I don't know. You know, there's a lot of talk about whether the United Empire is going to continue as a unit or not. Maybe something comes to head. I don't know. Like they're doing a lot of cleaning when it comes to the units in New Japan, right? Getting rid of a lot of, you know, merging and all this shit, which is a good thing. United Empire has felt directionless since Will's been gone, so I don't know. Konosuke Takeshita will defend the Never Openweight Championship against Ryohei Oiwa. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. This is the match I'm most looking forward to. You fucking kidding me? Takeshita, who is one of my favorite wrestlers on God's green flat earth right now, against Ryohei Oiwa, who is tremendous. Like, I think this will be Oiwa's best match since he returned to New Japan from Excursion in Noah. Because right now, his Noah Excursion, I think, outshines whatever he's doing in New Japan right now. This is going to rule, and Takeshita's going to retain. 6-man tag match for the Never Openweight 6-man Tag Team Championship. The House of Torture trio of Ren Narita, Sho, and Yujiro Takahashi will take on Gabe Kidd, Drilla Maloney, and Taiji Ishimori of the War Dogs. I don't care. Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Shota Umino. Is this a show me what you got, kid type of situation? People are saying Shota Umino is being punished. I don't know how you're being punished when, you know, you come back after being taken away and have, you know, getting your head shaved, and you come back essentially looking pretty much the same with the same music, and you enter the New Japan Cup and you make it almost all the way to the finals, and somehow or you make it to the finals, right? And somehow this is punishment? No, fuck off. I don't know. I don't know what to make about this. We'll talk about it next week. TV title on the line, El Fantasma versus Great Khan. This should be fun. It could. I think these guys have a good chemistry. This could be a lot of fun. And Yuya Uemura versus Sanada. Jesus Christ, can we end this? Can we put a fucking pin in this fucking match? Uemura and Sanada, come on now. Like, let's have Uemura do something interesting. Christ almighty, how many times do I have to see this fucking match? That's my preview. So, you know, I think there's a couple of matches. Look, the main event, utterly intriguing and will probably be an excellent match. Takeshita versus Oiwa, that's the other one you circle. That's going to rule. Everything else is so much up in the air. I'm not expecting much out of this show. I'm not expecting big things out of this show. Sorry to say. You know, a couple of months ago, I was sitting here spitting into this microphone saying, New Japan is back. God, it feels great, and so on and so forth. And I look at this card and I'm like, is it really back? I don't know. There's a lot of, look, I'm coming in with my expectations really, really low. So it can only go up from there, right?